Any kind of design you do, what makes it really fascinating and I think interesting for anyone who does design is that the design is always incomplete when you finish it. No matter how much time you spent with it, no matter how much time you've lavished on it, no matter how much you've tested it and tried to figure out exactly what it would take to make it perfect, until it goes out in the world and people are using it who have never met you, who never saw the brief, who weren't there to see the 20 versions, who weren't there to discuss it in the meetings, people who know nothing about it. They receive it and they interpret it in their own way. And that's true whether it's a building, a product, a logo, anything. And I think if you're a designer and that part scares you, or you can't take pleasure from that part, I don't think you can be a good designer, you know, because the role of design is to go into the world, and be completed by the people who are using it, right? And I think, you know, the appreciation you have to take in that is actually, to a certain degree, acting as an anonymous person in the world, right? But in that anonymity, you can go so many places and sort of like affect so much if you're willing to just give it to people and watch what happens. I've never done a book on my work, and part of it is it's uncomfortable because it's hard to look at it all squarely and to think, is this worthy of putting it all together and sort of, does it all add up to something? And my publisher, Lucas Dietrich at Thames Hudson, approached me and said, you really need to do this is the time to do it. And then I learned coincidentally that at the end of this year, in October 2015, I'm having an exhibition of my work at the School of Visual Arts Gallery in Manhattan. So I thought, okay, that sort of is a target. What if I did a book that was timed at the same time as the exhibition? So then I said yes to Thames Hudson. I sort of set a schedule to what it would take to produce the book. And then I had to come up with an idea for how to organize it. And the idea I had was this, how to do these different things. And it sort of starts out with, you know, kind of goes into a little bit more depth about how I became a graphic designer as a kid, because I grew up in the middle of nowhere. I didn't know any graphic designers, didn't know any designers or artists or architects or anything. I grew up where everyone just sort of had, you know, regular, normal jobs, not creative jobs. And, but yet that was sort of what I decided I was going to do from an early age, and had fantastic apprenticeships, had education with wonderful professors, had a very good first job with Stalwart, the late Massimo Vignelli, and then joined Pentagram, a firm that has had many speakers here through the years. So sort of looking at that career and trying to figure out how I would represent my own work in it was a challenge. It was hard. But once I sort of came up with an approach to doing it, it's just like running 3 miles or 5K every morning. You know, you just wake up and it's just something you're going to do. And I'd done a lot of writing before that, but it was always kind of writing more as a hobby than as a job. And when I talked to professional writers, they always said like the same thing, and I always ignored them actually because I didn't have to be a professional writer. They would say several things. They would say, set a time where you do it, you know, and do it the same time every day, do it in the same place. It just helps your discipline, you know. And so I did that. And they say, don't worry, don't have the whole thing written in your head beforehand. Don't worry about that. Just sort of like put something down on paper, get it all the way out, then look at that and sort of figure out what works and what doesn't work. Throw away what doesn't work, keep what works, and just revise that thing. But just being paralyzed in front of a blank sheet of paper, you know, that doesn't work. Then I realized that actually is how I design. And when I'm teaching students, I see so often they're paralyzed in front of a computer screen or a blank piece of paper. And that paralysis, you know, like the fear of making a mark wrong is, you know, it can stop you from making any progress at all. So a lot of times, I swear to God, almost every time I do a design project in my office, I'll start by saying, okay, let's get all the bad ideas out of the way first. Okay, if it's gonna be this, we could do this, and that's sort of terrible. We could do this, and it's sort of terrible. But sometimes you do a bad idea, and you know it's a bad idea, but somehow, accidentally in there is the key to something better. And likewise, so it was with writing this book. So I sort of sat down at the beginning of August and just vowed I was going to write X many words a day, plow through it and get it all done, and had to ship in the middle of December, and it did. So.